Miami working on the class of 2025. And
Yep.
so CJ Olofatula.
SJ.
SJ, my apologies.
Yeah, his given name is Susu, Seu. A Samoan gentleman who hails from Las Vegas Bishop Gorman High School. 6'3", 295, plays interior O-line, probably going to profile as center. As of the rankings right now, which will be updated in 247 Sports Composite, number 50 overall player in the country, number 2 interior offensive lineman, and number 1 in the state of Nevada. Looking like he's going to follow the well-beaten trail from Bishop Gorman to Miami. So that's your Brevin Jordan, even though there were transfers in between. Bubba Bolden, Tate Martell also, Cyrus Moss, who, he couldn't gain any weight and he's going elsewhere now. Elijah Lofton in this past recruiting class. And now it's going to look like CJ Olofatula. It looks like we're in a good spot. Tom Loy, who has covered many schools for 247 Sports, just last week was promoted to the national recruiting analyst level at 247. He and also Gabby Arudia from 247 Sports, from Inside the U and 247. Both of those gentlemen have logged in crystal ball predictions for Mr. Olofatula from Bishop Gorman to come on down to the U. So, hey, look, you always need offensive linemen. This is a guy who profiles as elite, whether he's guard or center, but, inside, obviously, at 6'3", 295, probably doesn't have the length to play outside. But, I mean, number 2 interior offensive lineman in the country, number 1 in the state of Nevada by 247's proprietary, like their own site rankings, 36th by the composite rankings, 50th overall in the country as an interior offensive lineman. All of that is rarefied air, guys. So remember a couple weeks ago, and actually it's been asked multiple times, where you guys like, hey, where are we going to focus on in this recruiting class of 25? And I said, where we actually low-key need to start looking back? Offensive line. Because the 25 season, the 23 recruits, that being your Francis or Mawanoa, your Samson Okunlola, all those dudes, they're going to be either true juniors or redshirt sophomores. So by the time that this class hits, the Olofatula hits, that class will be in their 3rd year. And honestly, in the transfer portal world, it's like that's real rubber meets road time. If you're not contributing at that point, we've probably recruited over you and developed you. So, and if you're like, Francis Mawanoa, you're probably on a 3-year track to the NFL to, hopefully follow the trajectory of like a Penei Sewell for my Detroit Lions, who graded out as the number 1 offensive lineman in the entire National Football League, right? So, yeah, we need to start backfilling for when those guys either transfer out because they're not made for the dirt, or they graduate and go on, or they leave to the NFL and go on. So getting Olofatula in this class would be a good step along that path as we continue just to never divert our attention from big dudes near to the football on offense and defense.
And Cam, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's somewhat even more rare for an interior offensive lineman to rank that high.
Yeah, because the positional value is on tackle. So I mean, there are interior linemen who can rank in the top 50 and and top 30, top 40 and things like that, but like they're few and far between. These are guys who step on campus and play. Like, I think Quentin Nelson was one of those dudes. Parker Boudreaux, his career didn't take the path that his high school ranking might have thought, but like coming out of high school, Parker Boudreaux was famous for having or claiming 85 scholarship offers and things like that. But like everybody in the world wanted him as like a 6'2", 6'3" offensive guard. Nobody had illusions of putting him at tackle. So yeah, the positional value is more on tackle. So when you have a guard that ranks this high, even early in the process, that really speaks to his level of ability. But this is a guy who's multiple-time All-State. He was a Max Preps All-American as a sophomore. So the 2022 football season, he was a Max Prep National All-American, first team, and things like that. This is a guy who's known on the trail. for his performing excellence. So seeing those rankings is not a stretch at all. But yeah, it is few times and far between that you really see that many interior offensive linemen ranked that highly.
And of course, he's going to have to prove it on the field. But understand, folks, even in those of you who are skeptical about the rankings, is that there is a clear correlation between rankings and productivity in college and future NFL prospectus.
And just to follow up, last cycle, Jason Zandamela from Clearwater Academy International was the highest ranked interior offensive lineman at 46. Then there was a kid from Erie, Pennsylvania at 53 who went to Penn State. Zandamela went to USC. The year before that, if I scroll back and I click IOL, there was a guy who went to Texas from Arlington Bowie High School. DJ Campbell was 23, then 52, 81, 97. And then the year before that, just to give you another year's worth of data, the interior offensive lineman, Donovan Jackson, who went to O State, Jesus, was ranked 7th nationally. Good God. But then 43, 68, 82, 83. So that's where, you're seeing like upper 30s pushing 40 being like the ceiling, unless you're like a super freak kind of a player. So there are some who have been ranked in that way, but just to kind of give you context that there's very few who were like top 85 prospects in the class over the last 4 years who play interior offensive line. So that even this early, Olofatula being in that realm, that speaks to the kind of caliber of player that he is and could potentially join this recruiting class for Miami.
Yeah. Top 50 at any position gets your attention regardless, but it's even magnified there. If you're a wide receiver, if you're top 50, you're more like the 6th or 7th wide receiver, something in that range. So excellent get for Miami there for 2025. And of course, if everything
potentially, not yet, but again, if the predictions hold, that would be a good get, of course. Yeah.
Yes, good correction there. I was jumping the gun. He is not committed.
We are not counting chickens before our eggs hatch, sir.
Now, if he does commit and turns out to be the player that he is ranked and rated to be, he may be in the position that 5 current Canes are in, preparing for the NFL Combine in Indianapolis in March. Javion Cohen, Matt Lee, Leonard Taylor, Cam Kinchins, James Williams. And when I read these names, it always strikes me as how quickly the college career goes by for some of these players. The one that strikes me is Leonard Taylor.
Yeah, man.
It seems like yesterday. Yeah.
Right. We were just talking about the Palmetto 5 coming out of Palmetto Senior High School. Savion Collins, who was like a 5-star as a sophomore when he was at Southwest Miami, and then kind of fell off. But he was one of the 5. Brashard Smith, Corey Collier, Jason Marshall, and Leonard Taylor. Those 5 dudes, the Palmetto 5, we talked about them. This is a thing, and who was going to get them. And, we said, we need at least, 2 in a possible. Ended up getting 2. Obviously one of Jason Marshall that went down to the end. Corey Collier, I was fine without and everything. But yeah, we were just writing that article. I forget who even the old contributor from State of the U was a high school or college kid who actually wrote the Palmetto 5 piece after, I had spoken about it and whatnot. But yeah, that whole group, he's gone to the league. So yeah, it was just yesterday that he was a freshman on campus and, and career, high school or college career is over. Same thing, Cam Kinchins, James Williams. Remember that recruiting battle against everybody for James Williams and, get him and just blink of an eye, dude. So this is why, obviously going to the games matters and following them and everything, but obviously you want to have the maximum performance possible, but it happens quickly, guys. It happens real fast, but really excited to see all of these guys at the Combine. Really want to see, I want to see all of them, honestly. The ones that I'm really watching are James Williams, because I believe he played both safety and backer at the Senior Bowl. I think he played backer more. So I want to see where he are the positions listed. It is on the NFL website. Let's see. James Williams is currently on the NFL website listed as a defensive back. I'm interested to see how much he does towards linebacker, because famously, and I've said this for years because, I remember him when he was a freshman because he was damn near the same size, but everybody has been saying, this kid is going to grow out of being a safety. Bud Elliott, like when he was on the trail, all the time on the recruiting trail, and like he and I know Bud, like Bud will still text me sometimes, you know what I mean? Or we'll text each other. But like, I remember standing on the sidelines of the event, be like, this kid is gigantic. Like he's going to, and Bud tweeted it, and James Williams famously searched his name, quote tweeted it back and said, "Nah, coach, I play safety." And said, "All right." And then he went out and did some incredible things athletically. And we're like, okay, maybe he does. And he did for a time, but maybe we're getting to that point where the transition is made, right? And especially in this era of football, where you're not going to play three traditional 1990s linebackers at that second level. Like somebody with his size and ability to put on weight, like he's 6'5", 230, bro. You're a cheeseburger away from 235, 240, and probably wouldn't change your athleticism that much. But your skills at the second level and athleticism and size, that might be the place where you're really a money player moving into the professional ranks. So I'm interested to see how he does there. I'm interested to see how Cam Kinchens tests athletically, because I think that will determine his ceiling of like draftability, depending on what he like runs and how he does his his athletic testing, like the 3 cone drills, the defensive back specific drills, and things like that. And then Leonard Taylor, I just want to see hopefully the best of him. And we didn't always get the best of him at Miami, but when he turned it on, you couldn't stop him. There were multiple games, and I wrote it in the good, the bad, the ugly every single week. Well, every single time that it happened, which was infrequent, but it was like, hey, remember that game-winning drive that the defense had when 56 just said, "You're not going to block me." Boom, 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 right? A pressure, a sack fumble, and like what, boom, 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 had a blocked field goal in the game, and like this, like a couple of times where he was just like, "Fuck it, I'm bigger, faster, and stronger than you, and I'm better than you, whoever you are on the other side of the football." I need that guy to show up more, because it was only in a couple of different spaces. Obviously, I think that Javion Cohen took a huge step forward. Jim Nagy, the director of the Senior Bowl, even said so in a tweet to Alex Mirabal, saying he looked so much better and his film was so much more clean this year than at any time he had been in Alabama. So I just want to see him continue to do his thing. Interested to see what Matt Lee can do. I mean, hey, if he does really well, I wouldn't necessarily mind him on my Detroit Lions, because Frank Ragnow looks like he's getting towards the end of his illustrious career. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, there's only 5 dudes. So, like, I've named all 5 and what I'm looking for. But it will be interesting in looking at different things from different guys. But the defensive, especially, the safeties, they got to run. And, I mean, that means they got to be 4-5 flat or faster. They just do. They have to hit that number, especially for Cam Kinchens, because Cam Kinchens doesn't have the gift of, the extra 7 inches of height and 35 pounds of muscle as compared to James Williams. So it will be interesting seeing them compete, wishing them the best. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, because I think the Miami Hurricanes are getting into a place with the talent acquisition that Mario has displayed, where we're going to have more and more guys going to the combine in future years.